Hi guys, I'm Manu and welcome to another episode of Sweet Money. You might be wondering, where am I sitting right now? Where's my pretty background and where's my suit? I actually just came to the office to empty it out. I'm actually leaving my current office, Mississauga, and moving to a new headquarter in beautiful Burlington, Ontario, which will be my new stomping grounds. Let me give you a quick 30-second tour of my empty office. So this used to be my chair. That's my other chair. That's my jacket. And then, my empty desk, my laptop, water bottle, and that's it. So it's been emptied out. Really nothing to show you, but thought I would. I don't know why. I just did. I am a US and Canadian CPA, and I run a cool little accounting firm, better known as Shandel CPA. So let's jump into the different revenue streams that you can live off of when you retire. I mean, retirement is scary because there's a fear of running out of money or incurring large unexpected expenses and to find out that you don't have enough funds to make ends meet. A very simple example would be the recent LA fires. I mean, imagine if someone owned a home and that house was their life saving for retirement, and right before retirement that house burns down, only to find out that your insurance doesn't cover that house because it's an act of God. I mean, what do you do, right? So things happen and life can be very unpredictable. So let's just look at the different revenue streams that you can access in Canada when you retire. Unfortunately, everyone is not entitled to CPP. It's a program in which you have to contribute in order to benefit during retirement. So an entrepreneur who pays themselves through dividends is not entitled to CPP because they're not on payroll. A spouse or a partner who has never worked throughout their life is not entitled to CPP after the age of 65 or 60. Someone who retires from a foreign country and decides to spend their years in Canada as a retiree is not entitled to a CPP. For 2025, if you are an employee, you will have to contribute. The maximum amount you will contribute is $4,034.10. And your employer will match that amount. So whatever the amount is that you pay, your employer will match it dollar for dollar. Now, if you're self-employed and you're earning north of $85,000, you'll then max out your CPP, which is a total of $8,068.20 because you're paying the employee side and the employer side. Now, on the flip side, you have retired in 2025 and you earn the maximum amount of CPP that you're eligible, that's possible. You would be earning $1,433 a month, which adds up to $17,197 per annum. So you might be wondering, how do I maximize my CPP income when I retire? And I'm not going to lie, it's kind of tough. The criteria is tough. To receive the maximum CPP payment requires making 39 years of maximum contributions between the age of 18 and 65. So this is a difficult threshold to achieve for many Canadians, because right now, if you're not earning over $85,000, you're not putting in the maximum amount of contribution, which is your $4,000. When CPP was introduced many, many decades ago, the theory was your CPP would make up 25% of your retirement income. Now, the gap between the rich and the poor has widened. I wonder, if this theory still holds true, because there's some in retirement who are struggling immensely, and there's others who have an abundance of wealth, and that middle class is disappearing. The biggest challenge for most Canadians is when to start taking the CPP. The standard age to take CPP is 65, because that's the standard age of retirement, but you can take it as early as age 60, or you can push it out to the age of 70. And there's no right or wrong answer as to when you start taking your CPP, because for each individual, there is an ideal time based on your personal finances, based on the how long your parents and grandparents have lived, your overall health personally, your tax planning. So many factors go into deciding what is the optimal age for you. So just because your friend took it at 65 doesn't mean 65 is the best age for you. Now, if you start taking your CPP before the age of 65, the payment will be decreased by 0.6% each month. And that adds up to 7.2% per year. So from 60 to 65 is 5 years. So when you multiply 7.2 times 5, that's 36%, which means you get 36%. So your start off point is 36% less than had you waited till 65. But on the flip side, if you had waited till the age of 70, the government will add 0.7% each month, right? And that's 8.4% per annum. And over 5 years, that's 42%. So now you're starting off at a 42% higher income level. And quite frankly, inflation is a lot lower than 8.4%, right? So that can have a heavy impact. All right, guys, let's quickly go through a hypothetical scenario here. Age 65. The CPP income at the age of 65 would be $15,000. Their inflation, let's just say inflation is 3%. Your guess is as good as mine. Life expectancy is 95, which means they live for 30 years after retirement. So if you go through these three scenarios here, you can retire at the age of you can retire at the age of 60, 65, and 70. At the age of 65, you collect $15,000, which means it's a 36% discount. And then if you retire at the age of 70, you get a 42% bump up. Okay, so $9,600 if you collect at 60, and then $21,300 at the age of 70. It's a big difference, right? Now you start collecting the money, and let's just say it's being, bumped up 3% year over year, which is compounded growth. At the age of 75, if you were to pass at the age of 75, you'll have collected $193,000 in revenue versus 192, and then 137, because you only collected for 5 years, right? So you're better off. So if you feel that your life expectancy may not be that long due to illness or just family trends or whatever the case might be, then it's worthwhile to collect at the age of 60. Now, if you feel that you might live, till 85 or beyond, then the tables start to shift. And as you can see, at this point in time, pushing your CPP out becomes more favorable. And then the more you push it out, and then the longer you think you'll live, the gap starts to become bigger and bigger. So if you feel you'll exceed the age of 85, then, taking your CPP at the age of 70 is much more lucrative from a financial point of view. But the problem with life is that it's unexpected. We never know what's going to happen. And because of this uncertainty and the unknown factor, a lot of Canadians start taking their CPP at an earlier age. And then after the age of 75, 80, whatever, they're like, oh man, I made a mistake. I should have taken it earlier, right? But hindsight is 20/20. And guys, while you're at it, give me some SLC. SLC stands for subscribe, like, and comment. All right, let's quickly jump into the OAS program. First off, to qualify for the OAS program, Old Age Security, you have to be either A, Canadian citizen, or B, a legal resident of Canada. And before we get into it, I have to get something off my chest. I detest the fact that we are giving free money to people who show up in our country after retirement or just before retirement, and have never contributed a single penny towards the growth of our economy. And the fact that we provide almost free healthcare is more than enough, right? So later on, I'll show you how a scenario would work out of a retired couple moving here, yet we'll give them OAS money, which makes absolutely no sense to me. It's a huge pet peeve, and I hope the government stops this practice. Now, in order to determine whether or not you qualify for the OAS program is dependent on multiple factors, such as your current age, your net income, your residency history, as I mentioned earlier, your marital status, whether you have a spouse or common law partner. And there's actually a website from the government of Canada where you put in these factors, these variables, and it will tell you how much you are eligible for. So I will have that in the link. Please check it out and see where you stand. Now, I ran through a very simple example. My age is 68. My spouse's age is 68. I earn $85,000 a year. My spouse is earning $75,000 a year. We're married. We live in Canada since we were 18. So if I crunch these numbers, I would be entitled to $893.58, which is $10,722. And of course, my wife, she would get her own monthly OAS check. So this is just for my spending on my income tax return. And look, this is not bad considering Canadians are not directly investing in this program like the CPP or the healthcare benefits, right? Now, here's another example of a couple who comes here later in life. Okay, now in this example, they came to Canada at the age of 63, husband and wife. They're both 63. They are now 68 years old, so they've been in the country for 5 years. And once again, I'm earning 85,000. My wife is earning 75,000. And the government, under this scenario, for someone who's only been here 5 years, will give me $181.92 every month for a total of $2,183. Now, I really don't understand why this couple is getting, or why I, as a 68-year-old man who's been here for 5 years, is getting $2,000 from the system. Like, I've done nothing right up until the age of 63. So this is a huge waste of money. And to me, it's just one way of getting votes from newly arrived immigrants. It's all it is. I would much rather we take these candies being handed out for no purpose and provide them to schools for sports equipment or to purchase medical equipment or to lower our taxes, which would be the best scenario. LIRA. Now, the LIRA stands for a locked-in retirement plan. Okay? And as the name suggests, the money is literally locked in until you retire. So financial planners love this because you can't pull the money out. Now, LIRA are employer sponsored. You as an individual cannot go to a bank and say, hey, I want to open up a LIRA. Okay. That's the first rule. And then the money, like I said, is locked in until the age of 55, which is the earliest when you can withdraw the money, and you got to show that you're retired. Now, there are other scenarios when you can pull the money out prior to 55, but they're very rare, and we'll get into those later on. Now, all funds withdrawn from a LIRA is treated as income on your tax return, okay? And all funds in your LIRA must be completely withdrawn by the age of 71. So between 55 and 71, all that money has got to be transferred over to your RRSP, or it's got to be spent. You cannot make personal contributions to your LIRA. So if I have an employee-sponsored plan, I can't just call up whoever the provider is and say, hey, I want to put $10,000 into this LIRA for my personal checking account. You can't do that, okay? However, at the time of opening your LIRA, so if you go to a new job, your employer is setting you up on this pension plan, at that point in time when you're opening up this account, you can contribute from your personal funds, or you can transfer funds from another LIRA into this new LIRA. And it's only a one-time opportunity that you have. In addition, you cannot transfer your LIRA to your spouse or anyone else for that matter, unless these events occur. There's your death. You have a terminal illness. You're facing extreme financial hardship in which you can prove that, you can't afford to pay your bills, you got to pull the money out. Or if you go through a divorce and the court orders for you to give a certain amount or a certain percentage to your ex-spouse. A LIRA can also not be applied as collateral for a loan because, like I said, the money is locked in. So if you're 30 years old and you're putting money into a LIRA, you can have a lot of money in there. That's great. But, you can't say, hey, look, Mr. and Mrs. Bank, I want to put this as collateral, because if you do go bankrupt, well, they can't touch the money until you're 55, which is still, 25 years down the road. Any growth in the LIRA is tax deferred until you withdraw your funds. And this is a great tool for those who have an unhealthy relationship with money, because if you can't manage your finances, then this money, is locked away and you can't access it, right? So this is very good for those who just, don't know how to budget themselves. Now, on the flip side, if you have managed your money well, then after you retire, if you don't need the funds in your LIRA before the age of 71, you can transfer it to your RRSP, and at that point in time, it will turn into a RRIF, right? Which just gives you more money to spend after the age of 71, which just enhances your quality of life. So in conclusion, LIRA withdrawals are guided by provincial legislation. So each province has its own set of rules as to how much you can withdraw and when, right? So depending on your province, up to 50% of your LIRA can be unlocked at the age of 55. So speak with your financial planner, sit down with them and find out how you should strategize and manage your investment portfolio so that A, you can minimize your taxes, and also B, most importantly, you feel that you have enough money to take you, to your later stages in life. Because what you don't want, like I said, is for your money to run out and you're still kicking around. RRSPs and RRIFs. This gets a lot of media attention. It's highly promoted, so I saved it for last. Look, you need employment income in order to invest in an RRSP. And if you're an entrepreneur, please put yourself on payroll. I have mentioned this several times and I will continue to mention this. All right. Now, your RRSP is your number one tool in your tool belt when it comes to saving taxes on your personal income tax. And you can invest up to 18% of your gross income up to a maximum of 32 Gs. All right. Now, pre-retirement, you can withdraw money from your RRSP. And that's the difference between the LIRA and the RRSP. In the LIRA, you can't. RRSP, you can pull that money out. However, note, you will be taxed on the money that you withdraw as income. All right. Number two, you will lose RRSP contribution room. Now, avoid withdrawing funds from your RRSP if possible. All right. So it has to be a real dire situation for you to dip your hands into your RRSP pot. At the age of 71, your RRSP will automatically convert to a RRIF. Now, a RRIF stipulates the minimum percentage of your portfolio you must withdraw given your age. Okay, so if you're, 68 years old, it's this percentage. If you're 89 years old, it's that percentage. And then as you get older, that percentage starts to increase. Okay, now that's the minimum amount. You can take more than what is the minimum amount. You are allowed to do so. But once again, you don't want to spend all your money while you are still alive, because that is a very scary scenario. You're better off leaving a little bit. At least you knew that you had funds to carry you through, than being hasty and spending it all up front. Okay, so please manage your money, budget yourself, right? And strategize accordingly. And remember, it all starts with a simple conversation.